trusting the spirit. Wow, that could be a really loaded question for each one of you, or it could be something very short and succinct. Depends on where your ego fits into this conversation. Does it when you trust the ego? Let's start with Maz.
Why did you pick me out of all this crowd?
It was just the way the finger went. No.
Okay, so I guess I have to accept the movement of your finger. Well, I really don't know what to say other than kind of start what we were discussing with Eric before, because he said that I should describe what my mission statement is and what my guideline principles are. And just to make sure that everybody gets the picture, my mission, I shouldn't say my mission statement, my mission is restoring and protection of my own freedom and everybody else's, and adhering and promoting impeccability in words, thought, and action. And
So I'm just going to repeat that a little louder just to make sure everybody can hear you. You said, so your mission is the impeccability in words, thoughts, and actions?
correct. And the principal guideline is being impeccable and just the best I can. I don't know if that is described or you have any question on that. I can describe it to you. Yeah.
Well, I think that for me makes sense. If I was to say trusting the spirit is being just with what you're feeling, right? Does that make sense to you, Joe?
Absolutely.
Good. So anything else I need to say or?
At this moment, I think you're off the hook. We're just going to go around the room here and see what everybody else thinks.
So your finger gets in the motion again?
We're going to go. I think it's like when we're a kid and you go, okay, Joan answered, like the ball got thrown to Joan. So now it's Joan's turn. Trusting the spirit.
Staying away from routine and staying internally spontaneous listening, I think, for me, because as soon as I try and practice something, then it becomes more routine and then I'm less attentive. So for me, it's almost like forgetting what I knew yesterday so I can pay attention today, which is really hard because I like to do same. So
what do you do then when you know you're in the same, but you want to be present to the now?
I stop it.
And how? That would be the $1 million question for everybody. How do you stop the habits and be in the present?
For me, sometimes it will go right back to just bringing myself to the present, noticing a color, a tree, a flower, a this, a wall, a door frame, that, and just however long it takes me to get back to just being present in the moment and not losing myself in thought and thinking that I'm hearing the nudge of spirit or the whisper or whatever, but actually hearing it, not fooling myself. Well, I'm sure spirit's telling me to do this. And it's like, absolutely not,
Beautiful. What about you, Thunder Bear? I feel like the lightning should be shook.
Jackie, don't feed that.
The skies are opening up.
Are we good? Trusting in spirit and doing that to me is, I think it's good to have stuff that we think we know, but I think it's also really good at every single moment in our life to be paying enough attention to find out when it changes. because like, you know, if we don't have any certain amount of knowledge in our mind, we're almost kind of useless walking around. But at the same time, we're not evolving if we think what we know is the end of the journey. So it's having that knowledge to know that like every step, like we all get up every day, and whatever our past experiences was, that's all we have to start the day with. That's it. So we get up, we start our day, we think we know something, and then hopefully by the end of the day we know something slightly different. And you know, and be willing and grateful for that, because I find in my life sometimes it takes a while to get to grateful when something really pisses you off, and at the end you learn something from it, right? So those days are harder to be grateful in the moment. It's super easy to be grateful when something just lands, like the beam of light landing on your face, and you're going, "Oh my God, that's beautiful! I just love this." Like that's easy, right? Like everyone passes that test. You know, it's just when something like really close that takes you by surprise and is very personal and takes you down an ugly road. That's where the big lesson is. That's, you know, the detachment from all the emotion and stuff like that. And I'm not saying even emotions you got to be fully detached from them, because I think that's part of the human experience. But just being okay with every lesson, no matter what flavor it shows up in, and that's challenging.
That's life.
Yeah, it is.
When you were sharing about the journey, I don't know, the visual that came to me was coming to, you know, like you have to change. It was like the T intersection. It was like go right or go left, and there's more than two choices though. It's not that just the past, the ego, and the spirit, is it?
It's never black and white. Life is in the gray. I found in my life anyways, there's a handful of stuff that seems pretty obvious. But for the most part, I think it's really comes down to the proof of who we are as a human being by our choices. And that's it. Like, I think, just to expand on that, that's why I think in the Bible, Jesus only ever spoke in parables, because he wanted to know what everyone would do, because he never said go left or go right. So that's where it comes to personal responsibility. You can't go, oh, well, my religion made me do it, or God made me do it, or the devil made me do it, or, oh, my kids were annoying me. You know what I mean? Like, yes. Or you have friends like Joan, like, so it eliminates all the excuses. It comes down to just responsibility. Like, I made the choice. You know, like if I got mad, I made the choice. You know, if I got happy, I made the choice.
So trusting spirit is gray areas.
It's trying to tap into that eternal grateful. That really would sum it up for me. Did you not hear me there?
I heard you. I'm
Okay.
I'm hearing some lovely little gray stream water.
Sounds like somebody
So-
sitting by a river.
Yeah, well, so I was just seeing if everybody was muted or not. There you go. Okay. All right. If everyone's not hearing it, it's just for me. Yay. Done. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. So we're going from, most of us here on this call are up here in the land that's commonly called Canada. But right now I'm going up over. Some people would say down under. But I'm going up and over to Tanya and asking her what does trusting the spirit mean for you?
I enjoyed how Joan worded it, because for me it's very similar in that it's very much letting go of everything that I thought that I knew, and just really listening to where I'm guided and what I'm guided to do in any given moment. And that's sort of become my motto, is it's like, what is happening in this present moment that I want to be aware of, or that I'm holding on to. And I find a lot of freedom. Pardon me. I find a lot of freedom in that now. Before, I was so caught up in all of my beliefs and my processes and my routines and whatnot, and I felt secure in it. However, now that I've let go and I've trusted and stepped into listening to spirit and what feels right for me, in any moment, it's when that first started happening, it completely baffled me, because it's like I've really let go of it, of feeling control of anything, which would have been a really frightening thing, but now is really, really freeing and really liberating. So, yeah, I really enjoyed this feeling. Yeah.
I can relate to what you're saying, because I was just saying something this week. It feels like the stronger I kind of create boundaries, which would have before been a box for me, thinking that's limiting my life. But like, so now I feel like I'm stronger in that creation of that box, but that has given me a freedom of, like, there's so little that I've done with, and it seems like there's so much more that's possible that I can't even imagine. Like, I don't know that I don't know. And I was surprised to feel that extra freedom in that space.
Yeah, it's very much stepping into trusting myself as well. And I think that for me, that was what the boxes were, is that I didn't and wasn't listening to what I was guided to, because I perceived them as threatening or wrong, because I listened to other people's perspectives and not my own. And now that I do listen to my own, oftentimes I feel like I'm really on the, we'll use the black and white kind of analogy. I feel like there's all these people on the black side and here's me on the white side, or vice versa, but the extreme of it. And it's just interesting to sort of stand on this side of on the outside of the box now and see myself from a different perspective and see others from different perspectives. And yeah, it's a really, I'm learning a lot. It's very good. I enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah, the different perspectives are why there's so many of us here sharing, because we each have different perspectives. We're designed to be unique and have different perspectives, and we want to get away from that concept of, one right and one wrong.
Can I say something? Am I allowed to say something?
No.
Fine.
Yeah. Yes. No.
It for me, like listening to Tanya talk about that, like spirit and us are one and the same. So when you're trusting spirit, you are trusting yourself. But we've just, the society we've built has got us to medicate enough with, not only medication, but like with commercials, TV, whatever, YouTube, you name it. Like you can find your drug and medicate all day long. And every one of those things is, I think, absolutely designed to help us stay so busy that we forget we are spirit.
But that doesn't include us, because if you're watching us on YouTube, you are.
Yes. Yeah, it's true. It's true. It depends on how you use it, right? Like if it's like I watch my son and he's on his phone and he's just flipping video, like, and he's got like 3-second attention span, like video. And I said, like, don't you go do something? It's like, oh, leave me alone. Okay. And that's how we are in life, right? Like, and I can say that from experience now because I'm building a house, right? So like I'm going like, plumber, electrician, like that's my video, and I'm flipping it and flipping it and flipping it and flipping it. And at the end of the day, I'm exhausted and I don't really want to look anywhere else. I want to have a nap on the couch when I get home. And that, I've expressed that to Jacqueline. That's kind of like really bothering me because I want to spend more time just focus on setting myself free instead of just like, because all that other stuff is basically a trap. And I want to set myself free. So that I just wanted to share that with you guys. That's what I was getting when Tanya was speaking there. So
Well, contact Eric.
what's that?
You can contact Eric. You don't need to flip anything. Eric is man of all trades.
So we're going to go to Eric then and ask Eric what trusting the spirit means.
You're muted. You're muted, Eric. I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
How much time do I have?
Well, when you get the hook, it's done. But other than that, go for it. Whatever is moving through you, we trust the process.
Well, I'll tell a little bit of a story. I'll try to keep it short. 12 years old, I was walking in the street of Lamech. I was going to the pool room, and then I heard a voice saying to me something like, "You're gonna do such a that," and then it was like a jolt coming to me, to the point that I looked up in the sky and I was like, "What?" And I was wondering, what was this? What was this thing I heard? And it's like I had a feeling of what I'm gonna do is I have to be careful. I have to learn. I have to get ready. Whatever it was, and that kind of stays with you, these experiences. To me, that spirit has been coming different times in my life to guide me all the time. And in 2020, I went to meet Peter. Peter that we did the celebration of life in Ottawa.
Yes.
I went to meet Peter in Manitoulin Island, and just prior to go there, I went to I was introduced to a First Nation woman, and I went to North Bay or those areas, got to meet her and traveled all the way to Manitoulin Island with her, and then talking to her, and we were going to record a song, and she was coming to sing because she used to be a professional singer. And through the journey of talking with her, and she was connected, and she scheduled meetings with the elders of the First Nation Network. She was calling me, she was saying, "You're Silver Fox," because of the wisdom I was sharing about my understanding of the world and stuff. So this week, I met someone, and she brought a picture of me at her work. And one of the lady over there last Monday said, "He's a Silver Fox." So that word came back to me. And this week I worked on, Silver Fox. And I talked to a few people. They said it's catchy. I almost wrote that name on my thing, and if I would have seen Thunder Bear, I would have put Silver Fox than my name, because I feel this is the spirit guiding me. And
it's not the fact that most of us women just think, "Oh, you guys, when you get older."
No. I don't see it like this. To me, that First Nation lady just was telling me, you have wisdom, and Silver Fox is about, fox is wisdom, is wise. So in light of listening to the spirit, And what is the theme again?
Trusting the spirit.
Trusting the spirit. I have been trusting the spirit a whole lot. And just when I was taking my shower today, I came with this. The voice of the ego is so loud that you don't hear the whisper of your spirit. And I'm writing about this. I'm writing poetry and music inspired by what I witnessed Muzz have done in his life, as I see the light at the end of the tunnel that can really bring solutions to society, and a plausible path, a practical path. And I stand behind him. When you ask me, Jacqueline, to come and share my song, I'm sorry if I made you feel like I was reluctant to do so, but I really mean that. I'm not interested to make decisions of my own based on my own perception. I'd rather make my decisions based on having a mentor to bring us in consideration of so many things we don't know.
This is how you control people.
And Muzz is really wise. He's really wise, but I would not have had the insights and the downloads from Silver Fox. Let's call him Silver Fox, my spirit. So the song you're gonna hear is not from me, it's from Silver Fox. The poetry I share is not from me, it's from Silver Fox. And as Muzz has been teaching me, I'm just a conduit to bring the message to the world. So when you say trusting the spirit, I've been trusting the spirit all my life.
Beautiful. Thank you. I will play your song shortly. I'm going to go to White Warrior, and as long as his connection is staying with us, because it's like you were in and out for a while there. So, is your mic working?
Yes.
Okay. So
I'm on a Wi-Fi, and that's why my connection is off. But I'll stay on as long as Spirit allows me. I was thinking about it as I arrived home, and my internet connection wasn't working, and I was just showing up from work, and I was thinking, oh, this 6 o'clock thing is rushing on me, and I was thinking it's a good thing I'm liberating myself from sort of this 9 to 5 that I've got going on, and I was thinking, oh, I need to, because I've made a choice. I've decided that I'm freeing myself from 9 to 5 work, and I'm going to trust in Spirit to provide for me, and I'm going to do the work and experience the experiences that my spirit came here to do on earth this lifetime. I've chosen. I've got a date. It's August of this summer. I'm leaving sort of work life and going into creative life. And I was thinking to myself, I need to, now that I have a date and I've made a choice, I need to make a plan. I need to plan this out. And then I was this is as I'm setting up my laptop 10 minutes ago, and then I start laughing at myself, like, no, you need to get out of the way. because because all of my dreams are coming true. Everything that I've ever wanted to do, I've had this vision of creating a place for people to come, or whatever. I don't even know what to call it. Let's say a retreat center, or just this place where people can come and connect with spirit. And I've had this vision for 20 years, and I've been trying to make it happen myself for 20 years, and it hasn't, right? And just in the last little while, I've gotten out of the way, and it's all coming together now. It's happening, magically, spiritually, just beautifully. And so I'm in it. I'm right in it. And I have to keep reminding myself to get out of the way. I have to keep, even just today, I was gonna write down the steps, and I know darn well none of those steps, or maybe one or two, will happen, but most of them, it's better than what I can imagine. It's bigger than what my brain and my ego can construct. And so, following spirit for me in this time right now means getting out of the way and trusting. Right? Those are the steps for me, staying in that trusting and knowing that I don't know all of the steps, and knowing that I am guided, and just trusting and going forward with that from my heart and from my spirit. And because it's happening, I just have to just stay out of my own way, and it's easy to say and to do is a daily practice. It's a daily chore of reminding myself that there's forces that are greater than me, and if I allow those forces to work through me, it'll be better than what I can imagine by myself. And so that's what trusting spirit is for me in this moment. It's just getting out of my own way and trusting, and walking in faith and in humility, because I have to be humble enough to allow spirit to work through me, and know that it's not coming from me, it's coming from that part of me that is connected to all, and so that's bigger than just me, and just allowing that to work through me. That's my process right now. Yeah,
I think that's everybody's journey, is to notice what we're noticing, and how generally we tend to put ourselves in the way, unless we're like Maz and we're just like, completely removed from the situation. He just mentoring everybody and controlling them.
I have muted myself so I don't interfere with him. Because I don't want to get unbinded.
This is like, life can be very much fun as you unravel the process, right?
Life is really much fun.
Thank you for being.
I apologize for being so, but I truly believe life is a game that we have to play, having fun, without being concerned about its outcome. Just play the game.
And are there rules to the game?
Just play the game. Don't be concerned about if you are the winner or loser. Just play. Enjoy the most.
Yes. Like as if we're children playing in a sandbox. We're just playing.
This is why I always prefer to be part of the children when they get together. I act worse than they do, as far as the monkeys are concerned. So, because they are really open, they don't have limits. We adults, are formed and we have a lot of limits. And it's not easy to overcome those things quite often. So I try to be as short as I can, or childish.
We all can be pretty childish around here, I have found. Because I think that's where the magic lies.
Yeah, so when your childish magic works, but in my case, I think the magic seems to be coming out of has two sides, and I don't know how to say this, but the point is, though, I really kind of was feeling quite lonely for quite a while because of my thought pattern, living style, or whatever. I was amongst huge number of people, but I never felt that I belonged to that. And a few years ago, around 2010, happened that somehow Eric was put on my path, and I tried to kick him out of my life. And I didn't mean that. I physically told him, get out of my life. But somehow, he stuck to me in a way that I have failed to get him off my back. So,
Well, I have to say something. My defense.
I don't think I attack you, yeah.
Well, when I saw Muzz, I saw the light at the end of the tunnel. And I was jumping all over the place because, yeah, the ego was running the show. Okay? So I had my lessons to go through. But in 2011, we went to a restaurant. We spent, when I was going to meet Muzz, I would spend the whole day just talking, and he would not tell me what to do. He would just tell me stories and stories and stories, like long stories. And I was like, why are you telling me those stories? Just tell me what it is, you know? And then one time I told him, Muzz, why don't you tell me what to do? He said, well, I know how to fish, but if I give you my fish, you're going to come back for me for another fish. So I want to teach you how to fish. That's why I'm telling you stories. And then I was in the ego. So we went to that restaurant. And after that, he looked at me and he said, I was jumping all over the place. I was really excited. I had that vision for the world and I wanted to prepare. And I was like, I was witnessing what he was doing with growing food and all the beneficial technologies and his legal strategies that was creating success. And I could see like, oh, wow, this is what we need. And then I could not express to him what I was saying. How do you express a vision, before it's mature, right? I was in the process of transforming myself and downloading from Silver Fox. Then turn around and Muzz looked at me after the restaurant and he said, this is a breakup. He looks at me right and straight in the eyes and this is a breakup. Like, have a good life, Eric. And I looked at him and I was like, oh no, you don't have a clue. You don't have a clue what's coming. And I looked at him and I did what I do. I went smiling and I slapped him on the shoulder and I said, you don't know it, but in the future we're gonna work together. And he looked at me like I was from another planet. I was like, what are you talking about? And I went on my path. And in 2012, I went to visit him in Toronto. Came with my collaborator. I met some people. I created an organization called the Universal Alliance. And I started practicing creating video and dealing with complexity and really digging in the rabbit hole to find out what happened in history. Why are we to this into this mess today. And I would see, I foreseen this crisis back in 2008 with the big vision that I had, again from the Spirit. And I shared that a story with you guys in Ottawa when you came to do the circle, the healing circle, right?
Mhm.
So in 2012, I went to see Maz, and Maz was expressing to me his challenge of the simple logic that he's got that people don't get, because it's so simple, people don't get it. And I said to him, well, what are the principles to build an equitable society? Because that's what I was looking for. And when you ask Maz a question, he really takes a challenge. So he put himself straight in the chair, grabbed the pen, and he wrote on a piece of paper 4 little phrases. I took those phrases. I didn't meet him for long, but I took those phrases. We talked with my collaborator Jean in New Brunswick that Maz I've met last week, just before, for the first time, just before talking to you on the phone, Jacqueline,
Mhm.
with Corey. And we talked about those 4 little lines for 3 years. Because it was full pack of wisdom. And we created the guiding principles of the Universal Alliance, and we built everything on that. And in 2018, and I want to finish my thing very shortly with a poem, maybe, that Silver Fox gave me. I'm going to use him now.
He'll be like, "Where's Silver Fox? Like, where's Waldo? Where's Silver Fox?" There you go.
Silver Fox. Well, when I went to meet with Maz in 2018, the last time I saw him was 2012, and I went to see him, ask him for coming for lunch at restaurant. And then when we sit down in a restaurant, he said, "Eric, now I'm ready. I'm at a farm. I want you to come there." I went there the first week of 16. I named it the Summer of Wisdom. And I started learning what he did in his life and all the things he's done around the world and all the court cases, the precedents he created in court in Canada. And I started taking some notes. I have 36 pages of notes. I got sick and tired of writing stuff. It was all important. But before the first week I went there, I came back to Toronto because we were traveling to Toronto. He was going to see his wife. And the week we were going back over there, I took off from work completely because I thought this is something I need to go through with him to really get to know him. And when I came back for my first visit in Toronto, this poem came out 4:00 in the morning, May 4th, 2018. Because I date everything that is coming to me from the Spirit.
Okay. So before you read the poem, I want you all to just take a moment and think of where were you May 4th, 2018, and see if the poem resonates from that perspective.
From witnessing what I saw Maz doing, this came to me. Profound reflections about possibilities. You have my attention, uniting abilities. The question of integrity, always of concern. Spiritual authenticity, it will be fun to learn. I cherish relationships with great souls for success. Let's build a ship to propel progress. A bond of trust, fusing together, impeccable and just, making the world better. Share a smile and wisdom. Engage with creation, uniting all nations. Simplicity, the ultimate sophistication.
Thank you, Silver Fox.
Silver Fox.
Hey,
That is how he glued himself to me. So I don't know what to do with him.
Well, we're here today, so you guys have any advice to give Maz?
Well, one of the things that's just coming to me is that I think each of us have had visions or spirit speaking to us, from early on. And I would say that probably that has happened to everybody, whether they've noticed it or not, is a question that only they could answer. But in this process, like I've just was realizing how Joan, when we made the call just to you about, hey, we got this idea, and you're like, I was dreading the call. Right?
Yeah.
You want to share about that, because I think that's important. Sometimes, like if Greg was saying, when things are working the way we want them to work, we're all like, "Oh, we're in the flow. Spirit's great." And when we're feeling guided to go in a different direction, or it's not going, it's like, yeah, really. So you got the call.
Yes. Well, actually, it happened at the fire.
Okay.
When I went to the fire, it was like I walked away and I went, "Oh, when the call comes, I'm gonna have to say yes." Most people, you would think you would be doing cartwheels, but then you know that calling for that kind of authenticity or that kind of trust or honesty in your life, it's not going to be all sunshine, rainbows and roses. There's going to be some awkward and some difficult moments. So when that call came, I was like, yes. I know I have to say yes, because that's the only option I have. It's so much for free will.
I wasn't going to take no as an answer.
Yeah, I knew that too. So,
Maz has been training me on the side.
Well, it's that unspoken accountability when you are with a community of people, when they look at you and they must go through the process of asking you something that they, I'm going to ask you a question and you have no choice. So.
But I never noticed anyone hiding behind Eric.
You're muted, Eric.
That will be later. I don't care for now. I'm the student.
Yeah. I think we should be muted, you and me.
But Jacqueline, I have a question for you, if I can.
Yes.
What inspired you to invite me for the music? I'm just curious.
For me, it would be spirit. It literally was when we were in Ottawa, and we met like October this past year in Ottawa. I had felt like there was some connection that was going to happen, and the music was a part of it. And then, as Greg and I had talked about that week, it's just like we just watched everything fit together so nicely. Like we just wanted it to continue, but ultimately everybody had to go and do their stuff and work on their things, grow their own garden, prune their own garden, however it was. That's how the creator works, is that we trust the process. When we can actually trust the process, you can kind of let go and just do your own thing instead of focused on the plan, like White Warrior was saying. When's it going to happen? You just can go and let go, and then all of a sudden I get the thought and it says, oh, I need to talk to Eric about his music. And then I reached out to Corey, and that's it. So I just to be unattached to the result of what I received. But I know when I received something, I'm to take action on it, and that sometimes is just making an approach to somebody is the experience.
Yeah.
May I now ask you a question, Jacqueline?
Yes.
I have discussed it with Eric several times, so he may know where I'm coming from. If he doesn't, then I explain it later. You met both of us at that meeting, correct?
Yes, I did.
You connected with him, not with me.
I
You are
connected.
more than free not to answer this question,
Oh, okay, okay.
but I would love to know if you are okay with it to tell me why you did not connect with me. Because that is my problem. I know that. It's not you. I'm taking this as an example.
So I can make up a story and tell you and feed you whatever it is you want to hear. But the truth of the matter I was connected. Like when we were in Ottawa, I totally respected, and I thought I should share that with you. That we're so committed to the impeccability of words, because Tanya and Greg will know for sure that I'm a picker of the words. So I was like, oh, we have that all in common. That's pretty cool. And you are always very lighthearted with it. When it comes to what I receive, the filters aren't there. So it's just like I connect with Eric. And I actually thought Eric, I couldn't remember Eric was Eric. So maybe this will make you feel better, Moz. I thought Eric was Adam. I reached out to Corey and I said, hey, Corey, I have a feeling I need to connect with Adam and his music. And she goes, you mean Peter? And I'm like, no, not Peter. I was like, Peter would love to have his music played, right? And I'm like, no, not Peter. The other gentleman wasn't that Adam? And she's like, oh, Eric, right? She said, does that make you feel better, Moz? I didn't really remember Eric either.
Remember the music.
Yeah.
I remembered you had 4 letters in your name. Okay, just and it began with a vowel, and the music was good, and that was it. No, there you go.
Now, regarding the song, just quickly, it's about what me and Maz see as a potential to happen. The song is about this.
Well, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm going to, may I play the song? And as I do so, Babe is joining us. So we can just let him listen into the song that you wrote, and then we can bring him into the conversation and bridge the gap on why we're here and trusting the Spirit.
Sure. Before you do that, if you don't mind, first off, I would like to really thank you for your input, because if I understood you correctly, exactly that's what's happening. I don't know why, if it's my spirit or whatever it is. My filtering system this seems to be not in tune with most people, including those that are really open and in touch with the spirit, and that's what I was kind of raised that issue. We discussed between Eric and myself. I said, Eric, do you really see how people come close to you? And almost everybody ignores me.
Oh, you go around.
Sorry?
They go around the Maz. They just avoid Maz completely.
Without me saying a word or anything at all. Somehow this is happening. That's why I thought, because of your openness or what the spiritual character, to ask you to see, because I have been saying, Eric, that because of whatever is in me, people feel kind of uncomfortable or sometimes even threatened, which is exactly opposite of what or who I want to be. So I thought to ask you. Thank you for being open.
Well, and Maz, just maybe this will make you. I'll speak from just let you know that for most of my life, although it may look to other people that I was surrounded by friends and community, I was always like the Dr. Seuss book. Instead of "Are you my mother?" it was like "Are you my community?" Mm-hmm. And so I was very much the same thing. And I think you can see Tanya's head's nodding. A lot of us felt like nobody got us either, even though it may look like others were gravitating to us. So for me, the first one that truly got me, really was Greg. When we talked, and it was like, oh, someone that speaks the same language, right? And,
Finally.
yeah, and so this is what this group is really about, is that all of us are coming together and we're doing our best to hold that space of unity and respecting each individual's perspective, because we need a Maz and an Eric and a Just Joan and a White Warrior and a Thunder Bear and a Sabe and a Tanya. We need everybody's perspective to make the circle. And when I was doing the ceremony earlier today, it was interesting. What was coming to me was when questions were being asked, it was like so many people are focused on the smoke of the fire, and versus the experience of the fire. They can't even see the fire because sometimes they've made the smoke so dense, which was like their past patterns and their habits, and that's all there. And you can't have smoke without a fire, right? They're both they exist, and the wind changes, and you need the whole picture. And so that's what we're doing here. So does that help? We're all in the same boat, Maz. Nobody likes any of us. No.
We're all the black sheeps in our family.
Yes.
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 Well, if you are a black sheep in your family, I think I could be a black sheep in the community that I used to be. Grow up.
Actually, so in a way, Greg felt like he was the black sheep. Do you want to do the introduction?
Introduction of what?
You were like the black sheep until you.
Yes.
Yeah. So you want to? I'm going to let you introduce Sabe, and I'm going to bring him up on screen.
Okay.
Here we go. Dun, dun, dun.
Hey, Sabe. You look busy.
I'm good.
Are you beating?
No, I'm just making a template.
So Sabe is I met his father. Oh, I don't know. Like when I met Sabe, I think you were probably like 10 years old or something. I don't know. Like I don't even know. Like my judgment, my concept of time doesn't really exist in normal terms. So my wife laughs at me all the time because I'll think, oh, that was last week, and it was like a year ago. So because my brain doesn't do time well, but like I met his dad was instrumental in my journey in many ways. He was the first one that I thought actually got me and understood me actually. And the first time I met his dad, actually you were there, right, at the Hydro Center in Toronto when Michelle brought you guys out, and there was you and Dwayne and Basil and your dad. And as soon as they broke into drumming and singing, I just went straight off into vision and stuff like that, and got messages to share with them. And I had no idea about anything to do with Indigenous culture, like zero. Like it was like I had not even like one word to describe. I had no idea, but I knew when I was praying and meditating that I was supposed to understand more of that. So after they sang and stuff like that, I went up to Sabe's dad and I said, I'm supposed to tell you that the wolf is my brother. I saw an amethyst palace, and I had a vision of a guy with a blue light with star charts and all this information in his head. And I know, like, I remember his dad kind of looked at me, and the room went a little quiet. And I just was laughing because none of it meant anything to me. I was just like, I'm just repeating what I was told. And so about a day or so later, Michelle called me up and said, like, he's leaving and he really wants to talk to you. So I went to see Dave, and he burned some sweetgrass, and I had like an incredible out of body experience. Like I've had them before, but this one was like turbo jets. Like I was gone. I was looking at the earth behind me disappearing. Like it was a magnificent one anyways. And then I don't remember for a minute or two. And then I kind of was back, and then that's when he gave me my spirit name and my ribbon shirt and said, like, I'd like you to come to out to where I live and do some ceremony. And that helped me, even though he never answered any of my questions ever. So ever once. he'd always just repeat it back to me or whatever, like he'd never answer it. But the spirit of doing the ceremony was something that grounded me, because I was pretty ungrounded human being. Like I was having incredible spiritual experiences my whole life, and I had no concept of a normal life. Like I actually, most of my life I struggled because I really wanted to be normal. And I could never be normal. So, and I'm good with that now. I'm really good with that now.
Because you're
So,
not normal. No, yeah.
yes. And I could go on and on about all that stuff, but that's just that's another day. And then at one point, Dave passed me a ceremony pipe, and Salve has a part to play in that because he actually made the stem of that pipe. So, and I feel like I have unfinished business in that neck of the woods. And so I've asked Salve to come out. I don't really know what that is or where that's going to be or if anything's going to come of that, but I asked him to come out because I feel really strongly that I have work to do with Salve at some point, some way, somehow. I'm not sure really how it's going to play out, but like, you know, I am open to spirit's suggestion, and you know, I'm going to probably come out to Sundance this year. We are looking at different dates and stuff like that. So I have no idea, but I do feel really strongly that there was stuff for me to do when your dad was still around. And when Jacqueline called and said, like, let's do this journey. And I just check in and I'm going like, do I bring the pipe with me? And Salve, your dad showed up and smiled. Like it was like he was so happy. He was so happy that I was taking it on the road and doing something with it. Like my eyes are watering up here. Sorry about that. But yeah, so I was so humbled by that because it's like the first answer he ever gave me. It's the first time he ever answered me on anything. You know, and he had to wait till he had to show up just in spirit because he's not here now. So, you know, so that's why that whole week, you know, everywhere that I pulled the pipe out, I cried. So I cried. I was so humbled by just the whole experience of it. It humbled me in ways I can't even imagine. Like I'm still processing, you know, that amount of humbling. And I think, for wherever I need to go, I need to always be reminded of that humbleness, because I think it's part of the gift. It's part of the gift, and it's part of the responsibility of being that pipe carrier, is that ability to be humble. So anyways, welcome to the circle, Salve. That's my 2 cents.
Well, I'm really glad you're here also. I felt, for me, I didn't know the whole story when I first met Greg, but I think it was only 2 weeks after that we had our first conversation, your dad went to the spirit world. And at that point, I remember he had shared the story with me and that had happened. And I just felt like, whoa, now something big's about to occur. You know, I think that's kind of what some of us have been feeling our whole life. Oh, now it's going to be big. Now the vision is going to happen. And we're still on that journey. And so being that, you know, I think your father was Elder Dave Crushane, for those Anishinaabeg elder that I think pretty much everybody would know, maybe not Tanya because you're in Australia. But what has it been like for you in the experience of passing the pipe to Greg, you know, stepping into your own uniqueness and the visions that you have in trusting the spirit?
I guess first off, whenever I'm given the opportunity to join a circle or a group, I always it's always important for me to introduce myself in my language. And in doing so, we say, Bujuanin, the name took, Shubila took, Yakinin, Dishnika, Kanun Dun Tame, I'm going to get you, Tanin, Tagin, Dunji. I want to, first off, acknowledge our great creator for this day and for the blessings that we have, and also for the opportunity to gather here. When I introduced myself in language, there was a word that I used, the name, and when you translate that word, it says, the best way I can explain it is my relatives. That's what that means. And with that, within our language as Indigenous people, it helps to understand and view how our ancestors view the world around them. So when I speak of our language and the teachings and the understanding that come from that, it's a very ancient knowledge where it comes from. And when I say my relatives, we are taught and we are told that we are all related and that we are all connected. And it goes as relatives, as brothers and sisters, but it goes beyond the human family. It tells us that that we are connected to all life, that we are connected to the land, that we are connected to the water, we are connected to the trees. These are our relatives. We are connected to the animals. Those are our relatives. That's what that one word means. So when I address people, that I was told that that's how we greet people. We acknowledge our connection, and all of that. And again, like what Greg was saying, it's been a few years, where we first got together, and he became a part of what we call our ceremony family, where he's spent time and he's fasted and he's danced with our people, in the area here, so he's become part of the family in that sense, so I want to again, just acknowledge Greg, and thanks for the invitation to come and to talk. I'm in the same time zone as Greg, but I'm in Manitoba right now, so there's that hour difference, and I was getting mixed up. So I had to rush here. I'm on my phone. So, and speaking of, like he asked me, said we have a group of people that we have different topics that we speak about, and we try and we allow the Spirit to guide us, as much as possible. And that is basically the way I was raised and the way I was brought up, was always in ceremony, and allowing and addressing the Spirit to guide and to influence our lives. So, I'm not too sure again what the invitation was or what to speak about, but again, there's always that there's a reason why. There's always a reason why, and there's almost like this plan in place, a divine plan, and sometimes we don't always know what's in store. We don't always know what the plan is, but it's important that we have that faith and that belief in Spirit, that Spirit is there and is guiding us in the direction that we should be in that sense. So that's where the ceremony comes into place. Again, where we acknowledge the spirit, but we also ask for that guidance in that direction, and the things that we must do, in our life. I want to give thanks for the acknowledgement of my father, and the work that my father has done. He has he's done a great deal in his life, and he was one that made a really big impact on a lot of people, and it was because of the belief that he had in the spirit, and the vision that he was given. And before he finished his time here, I had the opportunity to sit and to speak about a lot of different things with him, and his concerns, and a lot of the work that he was doing. And he asked me to take that on, and I was a little reluctant to take that on, because I grew up and I seen how much he sacrificed and how much he gave for the people, and as family, that was something that we sacrificed, because he gave of himself for the people. And I wasn't sure if I would be able to do that. It's been in December, it's been a year. He's crossed over, and I've managed to keep the Turtle Lodge afloat with a lot of the work that was going on. He was involved in a lot of stuff at many different levels, and I knew that I was not capable of doing certain things, because I did not have the same spirit as him. It was very similar. He had taught me and trained me, and passed on certain skills. So in taking on the work of and carrying on his vision forward with the Turtle Lodge, I moved in a direction that I knew I would be okay with moving, where my strengths were. And of course, I grew up in ceremony, and I know how to do ceremony and lead those things, so that I will do that. And throughout the year, we've kept them going. And a big part of the work and his passion was working with the young people. So we kept that going, and we continue to do so, in sharing a lot of our culture and our traditions and our teachings and our perspectives with people, with all young people. Part of the Turtle Lodge, we have what they call like a national board of elders that are right across the country, and we gather when we can, and we come together to discuss certain issues, and to give direction, when people ask. So we have that still intact. One of the things that my father, one of the things that he was working on before he passed, was he wanted to create a new lodge within one of our most sacred sites in Manitoba. They call, in our language, we say Manitowopi. That's where that name comes from, Manitoba. It's our sacred site is called Manitowopi, and what that means is where the Creator sits. It's a very sacred site where many of our people have gathered for thousands of years and coming together. And that was one of his dreams and visions, was to create this lodge, a turtle lodge there. And this is where I sense Greg is feeling something, and his involvement with me and with the work that's happening. I sense there's something there where he's going to be involved in that. And so that's a move that I'm currently working on, in pulling together a team of people to bring this vision into reality. Again, it has everything to do with bringing out the truth and sharing our Indigenous knowledge with the world. Again, I've been very fortunate to be able to grow up and to spend time with our elders and to hear about our teachings and our belief systems. And I always like to let people know where I come from and how I came to be where I'm at today. And briefly, as a young child, my grandfather was a well respected leader amongst the people. He was the national chief at one time. That created that organization. It started in Manitoba, and they called it the Manitoba Indian Brotherhood. And then later on, it turned into AFN. When he was involved politically, I guess you would say, but because he was considered to be a great leader, it had everything to do with the belief that he had in the people. And he always told me to be proud of who I am and to feel good about who I am. And for the most part, I knew enough. You listen to your elders because they know what they're speaking about. They've lived life. They have that experience. So I thought I was walking around feeling good and feeling proud of who I was. But later I learned that I didn't know who I was. So I didn't know what to be proud of. Because I looked around in our First Nation communities and I've seen a lot of destruction. I've seen a lot of hurt. I've seen a lot of suffering. I've seen a lot of addiction, a lot of poverty. And I couldn't understand why I should feel good about these things. It wasn't until I was able to spend time with our elders again, learning our history, learning of why things are the way they are. And it wasn't until then I started to feel good, because I started to understand why we're in the situation that we're in today. But I also learned about my people and where we come from. And I learned that we are a people that have lived on these lands for thousands upon thousands of years, self-sustaining. We had our own governance systems. We had our education systems. We had all of that. It was unheard of any kind of abuse, again, because of our teachings and our culture and our traditions. No child was abused. Those types of things, again, because of the way we believed. And it wasn't until more recently in our relationship with Canada things, it hasn't been well with our people. The relationship hasn't been well. We've basically been displaced, and we've been put on small plots of land that we cannot develop and to sustain ourselves. And there's a lot of history there, in why where we're at, in that. I remember my grandfather saying, we were once the wealthiest people in our country, in our homelands. Today we are the poorest. We sit on the bottom of the socioeconomic ladder, and that's where we come from. That is, but it wasn't until, again, when I sat in ceremony and started to learn about our spiritual ways, that I started to really feel that pride and to feel good. I remember sitting in ceremony, and I started feeling really good, and I started to think, this is what my grandfather's speaking about. This is why I should feel good about who I am. This is why I should feel proud of who I am. And I started to feel good in that sense. And with the work that my father is doing, it was always with the intent of creating a better world for our future generations. Now, when you look at a lot of the things that we're dealing with today in this world, there's a lot of sickness. There's a lot of imbalance. Simply because the human being has lost the sacredness of the earth, and greed has set in. Materialism, these types of things come in to play. Within our teachings, we are taught that when we make reference to the land in our language, we say "Nuko mes ake, medea ke," and what that means, our grandmother. She is our grandmother, and that she has a spirit, and she is alive, and she is taking care of us. Everything that we need to be able to live in a good way, strong and healthy, comes from her. So it is our responsibility to reciprocate that, to give back, to take care of her. That is the belief that we have had for thousands upon thousands of years, where we have taken care of the land because she's taking care of us. You hear different sayings, what you do to the land, you do to yourself. That is what's happening today. There's so much destruction. There's so much hate. Now it's our responsibility to speak on behalf of that, to share our knowledge with regards to how sacred the land is. I always remember our elders saying that we have yet to give our biggest contribution to the world, and we're still waiting. We are waiting for that opportunity, because when you look at our people, the indigenous people, lands, we have never been treated as equals. We have never been given the opportunity to sit at the table equally, make decisions on what's going to happen in this country or in the world. But that time is coming. Our old people speak of these prophecies. That and we have a prophecy that they call the rainbow. And what that is, they speak about it. There's going to come a time when it's going to be a really dark time. There's going to be hard times that will come. Again, because the human being has lost their way. And there will be a rebirth. The land will take care of itself. But we have to learn to be able to live on her again, to live in balance with her again. And with these warriors of the rainbow, they speak of, there's another word they use, they call them the star people. And that this new race of people would be born, and they would come from all walks of life. They would come from all over, and they would share. They would have something in common. And what this is a deeper understanding of the spirit, of what spirit is. They will have that connection to that spirit. Again, it's important to have that for that guidance and for that direction, because we all have that spirit within us. We all have that. And within our origin stories, again, there's a word in our language, they say pagunegi jik, which means the hole in the sky. This is where we come from. Before we come to walk in this physical world, we come through that from the spirit world. And we come into this physical world. And there's a reason why we are sent here. Each and every one of us have purpose. Each and every one of us have meaning in why we are here. And we are all created in a unique way, where we all have certain gifts. We all have certain responsibilities. Again, purpose and reason why we are here. What is that purpose and what is that reason? That's where some of the challenge lies. Knowing and understanding what that is. Where we have ceremonies that we do where it helps us to find that, where what we call vision quests or fasts, where we go to the spirit and we ask for that direction, and we ask for that guidance, and it helps in that sense, to give us that clarity, I guess, that to feel good about it, the direction that we're going in. And there's different. The elders will speak of different things, and they really simplify it. And I remember one elder saying it's very simple, and why we're here. That we are here to bring love into this world. We are here to bring kindness into this world. That is our responsibility. And he very simple, in what he said, but it's so profound, in that sense, where that's what the world needs. We need more love. We need more kindness in the world. But again, how do we achieve that? I know what the work that my father has done. He's reached a lot of people and he's affected a lot of people because of the faith and belief that he carried with him. And people would feel that when he came into contact with them, and had that influence. And it was always about building people up and lifting people up. It was never about him when he met people. It was always building the spirit of people and helping people to see the gifts and the abilities that they have. So there's a lot. There's a lot that could be there's a lot that could be shared. I know we have it's a very short period of time that we have here. But when I hear people that speak of spirit, it's encouraging and it feels good. To know that people are doing that, and having that faith and that belief in the spirit. I don't know if I'm way off base here, or
No, actually, there were a few thoughts that came through. So thank you for sharing all that, because some of the things you were saying, I'm like, oh, and we shared that at the beginning about how everybody's unique, everybody's is needed. Spirit speaks to us all individually. So, we're on the same wave there. The other thought that came to me to share was when Greg and I did this trip in in October, and we landed in Ottawa. As we were coming into Ottawa, there was a great big rainbow that was there to greet us. And Maz and Eric, that's where we met them. And we originally, you know, I was guided to a woman I'd never met through a doctor, you know, that's all by spirit. And in the process of her agreeing to hold the space for Greg, their dear friend Peter from Manitoulin Island, Rainbow Country, went home to the spirit world. So in 1 week from the time she said yes, we'll hold the space, then it turned into a yes, we'll hold the space for Greg, and it'll be a celebration of Peter's life. So seeing that rainbow when we all came into Ottawa to go to Corey's that day was, you know, it was just like we all knew, right, that this is beyond our comprehension. It's beyond our imagination. We like to say we don't know where we don't know. Spirit knows. And so when we tune into spirit, we're each given the guidance for the one step at a time, whatever each of us needs to do. And all of a sudden, we're all here. I felt to reach out to Eric, no, just and Greg felt to reach out to you for today, right? And then Eric, Maz, and it speaks to me very clearly of how this is all unfolding, in that the deeper our own connection, the deeper we recognize spirit in each other, and we can step forward and be the rainbow bridge, be a bridge walker, be part of the eighth fire, whatever the best homely world, the vision that you had, right? Like we've all had certain visions. Even though I didn't do a vision quest, I would love to have done a vision quest and got the answer, but that wasn't my life journey. It was sort of like keep knocking at the door until you all answered it right here today. And I got my eagle feather this morning. So that's what spoke to me. So I thank you so much. And I really did appreciate how you started off in your own language and you shared, because people will hear this. And I think that you can't hear it enough. Of how the inequities have been and how we all are coming to a recognition. If spirit isn't running your life, you're going in the wrong direction.
I always view it in the way that there's a short way home and a long way home. I find that's less judgmental in a sense, and the long way home is just way too long. For me, the short way home is just to check in with spirit, and and it's funny, like, because everyone here understands when I say check in with spirit. It's not a foreign concept. We get it. We might not be perfect at it, but we get it, and we're working at it. But there is the vast majority of the population. You say check in with spirit, and they think, "Whoa, you've lost it." Like, what are you talking about? Where's my retirement fund? Or what do I do next? And all that sort of stuff, right? So, and I like part of why we're gathering here, I think, is how do we bridge that in a way that isn't judging them, and I think like what Sabe was saying, it's true. Like we just got to find the ability just to love them freely, no matter what they're doing. And I think then people will ask, well, how'd you get there? And then we can share with them, because you can't tell anyone anything. Like, for sure, they're not going to want to listen. Most people don't want to listen. Here, I got something to tell you. I've been around spiritual circles for years, and Joan's heard this before. As people walk up to you, I got a message from spirit for you, and the first thing I think of is like, shut up. Like, did I ask? Am I interested? And it's like, it's there's got to be a much more subtle, gentle way, and I think kind of the work that I do helps with that. Like, when I do the hands-on with people, it can change lives pretty fast. So, and just saying, Sabe, I bugged your dad for weeks and months to come help build the Turtle Lodge, and then I didn't see him for about a year or so. And he said, "Oh, Sabe built the Turtle Lodge." And I said, "What? You never called." So maybe I got some redemption.
You're building the new Turtle Lodge.
Yeah.
Can I interject with the Turtle Lodge? I'm sorry.
Huh?
I visited Manitoba, a group of indigenous people. At that time, they were working on something called the IPON, Indigenous People United Nations. They were trying to obtain seats in United Nations, and I had the privilege of traveling there with the grandmother by the name of Shaw, first name Shaw, and a gentleman, indigenous leader from northern part of Ontario, which I never really remember the name because it was difficult for me. I apologize. Those native names are not easy for me to remember. And he was traveling with the Tetelai, the whole bone, skull of Tetelai. We came up there, and there was a ceremony. I believe must have been your dad, if I'm correct. And we spent 2 days there. That was a really amazing experience for me. And during that time, there was those the pipe ceremonies and drumming. And I never forget this. One of the individuals that was involved in the, let's call it, he was so involved with the legal aspect of what they were doing, asked me, Mars, what do you think would be the laws that we need to adopt if and when we really have a chance to have a say? And my response was, the laws are there to be broken. You have to go with your spirit and the concept of really being who you are. Live a life that you cannot harm, so you don't need any laws. That's why I believe in the what I described earlier on, that I don't think you were on the call, that you have to be impeccable in everything you do, say, and think. And these are not me saying it. These are my culture. I'm originally Persian, and I believe we have somewhat similar experience as far as the culture of the people that lived in different parts of the world come from. When we talk, for example, about natives, and we say we are native and we need to talk to others. Everybody is native in their own land. So we all are natives. I moved from my land because of interest of non-native people in my land, foreigners. In 1917 to 1919, between the two world wars, my land was occupied by foreigners, and they made sure whatever they did physically killed half of the population, about 10 million, and we don't hear about that. In more recent years, when the regime change happened, again, did not happen, was orchestrated by foreigners, and that's why I'm here in Canada. It's the same damn thing. So we need to learn how to deal with facts and find, as you mentioned, Sabri, real easy, factual, and doable process to achieve that goal. As far as I'm concerned, the goal is not difficult. What we need to do is not difficult. To find people that are willing, able, and are dedicated to do it is the more challenge, at least for me. So I thought to share this, and I really have a good experience and a very good present from that time I visited the Manitoba Island, the natives there. It was amazing for me. Thank you for allowing me to share this.
Well, if I can say, that's why I'm sticking with Muzz. I see what he's bringing as the wisdom of his culture carrying with him, and he's got so much wisdom. Yeah, It's inspiring.
And you, Sabe, you touched him deeply because he was very serious. All he was doing was giggling the first half of the show. So he had a smile on his face, and he had a joke that was in practically every other thought. So that spoke volumes about
Yeah,
what
you know,
that experience was.
I want to just acknowledge, you know, the words that were spoken there. You know, it's thank you. You know, I know, like you talk about the lack of spirit in the world today. My wife, the education director within the community, in her home community, and we've done work within the, and it was very evident that there's no spirit in there. They don't acknowledge the spirit. They're not allowed. You know, and more recently, we've gained control over our education system, and that was one of the things that we're putting spirit back. We're putting our culture back, and we've met with like school boards and different people like that to create an awareness. Again, everything that's happening today with this truth and reconciliation, you know, and relationship building, you know, with the Indigenous people, we're starting to be given the opportunity to, our voice is starting to be heard. We're being given the opportunity to hear. So, and it's always about, it's very important to know and understand, again, the history, you know, in the relationships, you know. So again, you talk about the mistakes that have been made in the past. We need to know those things so we don't make those mistakes again. When we're always, again, using spirit, and it's amazing when you're able to harness that, to use that, the effect that it has on people. People that aren't used to feeling that spirit, tears will come. You know, they'll cry because of the spirit that we have. You know, that many people refer to our people as a people of the heart. So that's where we come from. We always come speaking from our heart. You know, not so much from an intellectual sense of things. You know, it's always about the heart. You know, and that's the type of work that we're doing in creating that awareness, spreading the spirit, I guess, and you know, allowing people, igniting the spirit within of people.
Absolutely true.
You know, that's what that is. You know, and I think that was a lot of again with the work that my father did. You know, with the Turtle Lodge, and again, that's what he's doing again in the work that I will be continuing in creating this new Turtle Lodge within the sacred site, one of the most sacred sites, you know, of our people. You know, it's in the geographic center of this country. It's right central.
Is that Manitowoc?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where we're hoping to go there. That's the vision. You know, and I've watched my father work on his vision, and you know, when he first started, he didn't, and the way he was trained, you know, okay, I'm going to build this lodge, but you need a lot of money if you're going to build a building this size, and he didn't have it, so he went after it. You know, he went after the money, but it just never came to be. And what it was it was the people. You know, that's what built that lodge. It was the people. It was the people that had donated their time, people that gave what they were able to give to bring this vision into reality. because they believed in it. These people, whenever he was given the opportunity to speak of, this, and it was essentially, it was all about unity, and creating a better place, a better world for people. So looks like we're going to do it again. That's the work that he left me, and I'm still trying to find my way in that, in how it's going to happen, and I know it's going to happen because Spirit says so, but we have to put in the work, and we have to put in the effort in that, and so we'll see, how that goes.
Well, I think that's the journey. And when we trust we're given a vision or an idea because we're to step forward in it, and this is what this conversation's really been about today, is what does that mean, trusting the Spirit? And it's as if we just take that step towards where we're guided, unattached to the outcome. We still allow Spirit to move us, to blow us in a different direction. And for me, that's what life is. And for those of you that maybe don't know, like Sabe, you're going to say your father's name in Anishinaabe, but it means leading earth man, correct?
Niga ni akene, yeah.
Yeah. And so leading earth man is that concept, leading, he's leading to the new earth, right? The vision that came to me was, in Best Whole New World, and everyone would tell me to make a logo that was like of a round world, but my logo is of a heart, and it's of butterflies because it's transformation. And to me, that's what we're, we all have our visions, we all have songs, our poetry, our healing, right? And we need each other. And as we each follow, I truly believe the Spirit shines even more brightly, and all we see is greater light.
I was sitting here listening, Sabe, to your words, and I kept hearing, sometimes it's just about showing up. I kept hearing, just show up, Spirit calls, and sometimes you don't know what the outcome's going to be. You don't know how you're going to get there. You don't know anything really, but you just show up, and then the next steps are presented to you. That's what I kept hearing as you were talking about. Just show up. Just be there and show up and wait for guidance. And I also wanted to say, you made me. I'm from the East, but I spent almost 15 years in the Manitowoc area. I married and had a family out there and lived out there for 15 years. And listening to you talking about it, it makes me miss that part of the world. Yeah. Thank you for your words.
Can I play the song then for a moment? There we go. Or before the song that Peter wrote or Eric wrote. There you go. Anybody want to say something?
I just want to share with Sabe something quick. Another time I'll share with you a song I wrote after the Sundance. I used to write lyrics and be involved with musicians and all that stuff too. And another time we'll do that. But I want you to listen to that because it's relevant to everything that we're talking about now.
And we are going to meet here every Wednesday evening, 4:00 Manitoba time.
No, he's just Manitoba.
5:00 Eastern, 6 p.m. Atlantic, and what was it in Australia, in your neck of the woods? 7 a.m. He's ahead of us. So there is no such thing as time. Okay, that's the whole point of Is it up or down? We don't know, but we're all joined together. So let's see if this works. So I'm gonna, this is practice, okay? So hold on.
Come in alignment, the wisdom that we carry won't come in a hurry. Forget misleading theories without practicality. Focus on success stories. Support your community. Between the two oceans, to rebuild the nations. It's our free will choice to unite and rejoice. We live on the land, the land of the free. Seek to understand, for peace and liberty. We all have the duty to live in harmony. Maintain your sanity on the land of the free. On the land of the free. Lead by example, empower true leaders, trust rightful people, these steps of the ladders, guidance from the source, contract law to enforce, public trust to create. Let's open the gates between the two oceans, rebuild the nations. It's our free will choice to unite and rejoice. Between the two oceans, rebuild the nations. It's our free will choice to unite and rejoice.
Eric, that was lovely. Would you like to share anything more about the song?
Well, I can share when I was inspired to compose it. I went to see my kids just before the lockdown in Vancouver. Just a week before I was coming back, and then they shut down everything, right? And I was kind of told, it's time to go get to see your kids. And I wrote a series of poetry about inspiration for the new decade. I wrote 8 poems telling a story about what was going to happen in the world beforehand. And when I went there, I was invited to a book launch for wildpreneurs. Okay. And I had the lady that was launching the book was in the library in Vancouver. And again, Silver Fox told me, "You're going to talk here today." So I opened up my phone and I brought up a poem about wisdom, because the lady was talking about wisdom. And when it came at the end of your talk, she said, "Is there anyone that wants to share something?" And my friend said, "Get the fuck up there." So I stood up and I went to talk. And I acknowledged the lady that was launching the book about the wisdom. And I looked at the entrepreneurs that were there interested for that book launch. Don't be scared to launch your business, because there's a huge spiritual community that will support you, because there's a need for this. And when I said that, you had the hallway going all the way, full of people, and we're at the back there in that bigger room. And there's maybe 12, 15 heads that went like this, like with a serious face. They just went like all at the same time, synchronized. And to me, though, I had a thunder coming down my spine. I was like, holy shit, something is going on here. For that kind of synchronicity of these various individuals. And then it kind of stopped me from talking when I said that. And I had my phone ready with my poem, and then I went on to finish with the poem. And when I sat down and I talked to my friend, I said, a song is going to come out of this. I don't know this. I had shivers coming down my spine. And that's the song that came out, because of this vision and my ability to build, and understanding the challenges in our hand and the way the world is controlled. With that, I had to go in the rabbit hole to kind of be aware of those things. And I had to add a good strategist to be able to see how we can get out of the mess. And that strategist is Muzz. I see being involved for community projects, and as an award-winning contractor, I can build a house from A to Z. Muzz is an extremely good planner, and he has international experience in international business in so many fields that it's I cannot even try to explain, other than the poem I shared with you at the beginning earlier about what I see and with this vision I have. But rebuilding the nations between the two oceans, I think this meeting, when you reached out, Jetlyn, is spreading across the nation. And what I'm saying now might trigger the interest to strategically develop projects and implement them in a way that they won't know where to give their heads with the implementation of beneficial technologies. Because everything is monitored. At this level, they are watching everything. That's my understanding of it. So people cannot actually do this because they're vulnerable with the legal attacks. So if you don't have a legal umbrella to really protect your individual rights and the rights of the corporations you're using to operate in commerce, good luck. And no lawyer, from my understanding, can apply these strategies because they're removing their licenses.
And thank heavens then, that's why we're all guided by spirit, because spirit runs the whole show.
Well, spirit has to be connected with reality. And that's what I find Muzz doing wonderfully from what I learned from him. Listening to the spirit without practical implementation.
Well,
It's been waiting a long time.
My experience has been a little different, but I've had. I think that's, as Greg was saying earlier too. There has a place that there is some wisdom, right? We have some wisdom. I think for me, the biggest obstacle for most people is they still look behind, and not behind in the sense of taking what's beautiful from your heritage, like Wasabe was sharing, the gifts. They look behind at the well, let's just be truthful, okay? Like, it's a legal mafia that's out there that's been running the world for a long time, okay? And they've corporatized everything, and corporations don't have hearts. So it's up to the individual people within each situation to raise their level of spirit in order to shift what a corporation actually acts and does in the world. And then we will realize we don't have to have them the same way, and we can get out of this facade that exists.
The role of corporation, yeah.
Yeah, because the legal system's only there to protect the corporation, right? Like, that's all they do. They don't care about right or truth or spirit. They're just there about protection of greed.
And it's, papers, pieces of paper. Corporations are piece of paper.
And this, I can tell, is going to be next week's conversation, okay? We're going to get into it until spirit moves it in a different way. But the concept of, do you autograph something or do you sign it?
I didn't do either.
There you go. Who is feeling like closing this circle off?
Could I add?
The closing words. There you go.
Go ahead, Maz.
Could I add to the signature part of your comment?
The color of the signature? Is that what you just said?
No. Signature part of your comment. Do you sign as a whatever you say?
I only autograph if necessary, but I do my best to stay away from paper.
Well, apart from staying away from paper, I kind of agree with you, but generally it doesn't really matter because many people that have a hydro service, they haven't signed any piece of paper with them anyway. But if you don't pay, you might face difficulty. So it's not a matter of physically signing a piece of paper. It's knowing who you are is the most important thing in anything we do and face. So whatever you think is yours is not, including that signature, is not what you're signing on its behalf, not you. So I love the corporation, the craft they created, because the purpose of corporation, as a matter of fact, I was sharing this with Eric because he was talking about corporation. So learn what was the original purpose, what is intent behind the creation of the corporation. Okay, once you learn the history of why it was created, then you may be able to find a solution for that problem if that is a problem for you. But if you don't know your enemy or your difficulties, whatever the challenge you're faced with, you cannot solve it. So for me, it's not a matter of if you sign or not sign, or if you say I'm a living being or I am, all those kind of things. You really need to be who you are, not just saying it. And once you reflect that on any document or in any conversation, even in the courts of law, so-called courts of law, then you may see the change of venue comes in place right away. The judge starts recusing himself or herself because they don't know how to handle it. Give you a very short, quick example. We all drive, and most of us must have had traffic tickets. And if you want to challenge it and you go to court, what's the first question they ask you? How would you plead? Guilty or not guilty? As if, well, even if it's innocent, it's not guilty, okay? It's kind of, in their world, it's not guilty. It's as if I tell you, we are going to play a game of basketball. You want to be in offense or defense? Not giving the option that if you don't want to play, don't play. So you change the whole game. That is where what I have been doing and trying to share with people, in this case, for example, an early grader. With little bit of creativity, we can really change the game in a way that they have no clue how to play it. I mean, those guys that are so-called in charge and they think they can go, for lack of better word, the slave master, because the way things are happening in this world, including Canada, as far as I'm concerned, looks like those guys that are in charge, they think they are the farmer of animal farms, and they treat us exactly like that. They take care of us as long as we perform our task the way they want us to perform. What if I'm the goat and jump the fence? So that is really what kind of, I truly believe, again, this for me, is we have to say no and mean no and be no when we need to be. And we have to trust each other to the fullest extent in order to achieve a better life and be who we are. Because Mother Nature didn't create us to be in this situation. So with that, I yield my.
You yield?
Yeah, I yield.
Thank you. That's you said that well, and that's a conversation that obviously can go much deeper because so many people need to comprehend how they go with the choices and never make their own choice by knowing
Yes.
who they are. So.
Well, and there's many challenges, and not everyone is designed to take on every challenge. That's why it's good that there's people that want to take on certain parts of challenges and other parts. And I mean, like challenging corporations isn't my thing, but I'm glad there's people doing that because it needs to be challenged on every single front that we can think of. So, I don't get it, and but I'm super glad that people are doing that.
If I may add to that, Greg, I stopped everything I'm doing in my life to be part of a group that will win at that game. That's why I was. I want to win. I want to live my life, build community with people that really want to be there, that really want to live a life outside of the box. And I have a poem that I wrote, inspired by what I know, the legal strategies. And the verse goes like this. Show me the law and its history, factual and raw, without any obscurity. And when you do this with legal notices, like Muzz is doing, they disappear. They don't know how to deal with it. They just don't know. Those strategies are really outside of the box completely. I've been watching videos, spent 7 years behind my computer to find out what's going wrong, and everything I was seeing was missing. It didn't click. It wasn't triggering Silver Fox to be excited. So when I heard it in practicality, I never looked at anywhere. That's why I'm sticking with months.
Right.
Plain and simple.
Yeah.
And I would, and please, Sabe, correct me if I'm mistaken, but I am going to say that what we consider in and I don't even like to, I'm going to say Anishinaabeg, Mi'kmaq, like a traditional people's law is more common and more cooperative and harmonious and beyond anything that we can imagine from thousands of years ago. And we have, just as he was saying, you just didn't abuse children. What has happened over the generations all over the world, but truly Canada did an excellent job at, rape, pillaging, and massacring. But it's beyond our comprehension how well law can work. So it's yes, it's stepping stones to try and, if you want to fix the system, but to me it's going beyond the system, beyond ways that our ancestors, all our relations we know of somewhere in our heart, but it's one step at a time as we're going to link this all back together. And there are pieces in order to deal with it in different ways, step by step, like Moz is obviously knows what he's talking about. Where we're going lawfully, it's beyond our imagination.
Well, we are not trying to fix anything. Because if you own a property, house, let's say a house, that is rotten to the core, there's no point fixing it anymore. We need to physically rebuild everything. And the only way we can do it is to come together.
Okay.
And what Sherik was sharing, as far as I'm concerned, for me was showing people that it's not that scary, it's not impossible. Even if you want to go and kind of deal with them, there are ways you can do it. But it's not the matter of use the law against them, because if you start using the law, you make yourself subject to that law. If you're saying
Yes.
that this law protects me, means you're subject to it. And the moment you become subject to it, you are not you anymore. It kind of goes a lot deeper than that. But the issue is that I find it somewhat difficult to find people to get them to realize that, look, it's not as difficult. If you have issue with taxes, with your bank, with your whatever, all you have to do, ask them to show the law that allows them to make such a claim against you, or tell you do's and don'ts. So they cannot do it. Then it's okay, let's sit down and have a coffee and have a chat and see what we do. Okay? And in that with that strategy or that kind of movement, I have had not major, or I shouldn't say not numerous, but very small, but very, very successful arrangement that can give people hope, much more hope than just going and say, okay, there's nothing I can do, so I'm going to ride the wave. Okay? But I fully, truly understand the native doctrine of the way of life, because that coincides very closely with my heritage. We have over 7,000 years of written history. And I remember this vividly in a conversation between my dad and my uncles, all that. They were talking about is not who you are does not depend on what you have. It depends what you have done, what you are doing for the community. So although I grew up in a family that was somewhat wealthy, but we physically walked away from every wealth we had, or my dad had created, to support the people that were working for us, or better than for us, with us. So I truly believe I understand that approach. But we are living in this environment that the language is not the language for now. When you deal with it, for example, the traffic ticket, the police on the road stops you and they ask you for, may I have your driver license, blah, blah, blah. So in order to get the people to say, look, when the police ask you, may I have your driver license or insurance and the ownership, and you hand those out to those pieces of document to the police officer, you're actually physically or technically committing fraud because you're introducing something that's not yours as yours. So learn the fact and ask for the laws that they depend on to do whatever they do. And based on those, then start asking questions that they realize that you're on the same side rather than being opponent of each other. That was the whole strategy. And I believe that's what Eric was referring to.
And my experience has been with some gentlemen that are dressed in uniforms is that it's like any individual. It's whether the spirit is living there or not. Because if the spirit isn't living inside somebody and their morals and their values aren't aligned with their spirit, they're capable of atrocity.
Sure.
And I think that's what we're letting go of in the world now. And we're moving to new ways of being. And in that process, we're all learning new ways, new habits, new patterns of how to deal with authority or what's perceived as authority, because that's all we've been taught. But none of it is necessarily true because spirit is what's guiding us. And on those closing notes, anyone else feeling that they want to say something about the power of spirit and where it's leading us, I would be so open to hearing it.
In my view, many mediums around the world is talking about the energy, the consciousness that is driving people. And from what I feel, I really stopped looking at mainstream, all the confusion out there, the distortion of information. And I've been saying this to Muzz for a few years now. I'm just focusing on what I can do. Because the distraction won't bring practical solutions together. So I'm focusing on how to live my life, how to spend my time to introduce, participate, contribute with the help of Silver Fox to kind of deal with the complexity and bring me the answers so I can write them. I can write poetry, music, or content. So that's that. In my view, I see the evolution coming. I see a beautiful. Maybe I can share. Actually, I finish with this because it's kind of beautiful what I just experienced just before I had the meeting with you, Jacqueline.
Okay.
Corey, can I share my screen?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to present something. The screen.
So while you're doing that, and then afterwards, Greg, if everybody's open, I would suggest that we close off with Greg, we all being open, and let Greg connect. And
okay, no, I'm not going to do it because it's asked me to activate some stuff. I don't want to waste the time with this.
Okay.
But what happened is Corey was kind of called to go to a meeting, and she didn't want to go, and they dragged her there, kind of thing. And she went there, and she's met apparently her soulmate, and she was meant to be there. And when she walked out, her car was parked just at the cross two street signs, and the two name of his streets crossing there was Peter Street and Nelson Street. Peter Nelson. So she said, Peter has brought me here. So she took a picture of that intersection of two streets. And she said, Peter has brought me here. Like, shit, Peter is just. And when the night before I talked to you, Jesslyn, and she was saying, I said, well, it's very interesting. My friend from New Brunswick last year sent me a picture of two intersecting streets, Eric Savoy. And she was like, nah, that's impossible. And then the two Peter Nelson streets was like, stop, one way here, and a no way sign, like don't. So I went to see Muzz, and Muzz was talking with Peter too. We were forming a team to build community and stuff. And then I said, is Peter saying, stop, don't go that way, go that way? And we were coming to this meeting. Like, anyway, the next morning I woke up, I had a dream. I was setting up stages or events repetitively on backyards of homes. And the song that was testing the song was playing when I was doing that every time was What a Wonderful World. So to me it was like, yeah, Peter's still acting on the other side and orchestrating stuff.
Absolutely.
I trust the spirit.
Trust the spirit. That's it. So if we're going to trust the spirit, I'm going to suggest you all just let go of anything that you're doing at this moment and your thought processes. Open up. Greg only takes, a couple seconds if you're open to whatever. But as a group, we just like to you can just hold the space. And as we're holding the space, we'll close out the broadcast, and you can just be with that energy for as long as you feel guided to be with that energy.
So, I just going to clarify for Saab. Are you okay if I do a little energy work with you right now? Okay. Is that okay? Everyone just close your eyes.